name is Pat Kinsella, and I am the coordinator of the Florence fashion program for Kent State University. Today I find myself in Palazzo Spiniferroni, which is a medieval palace. It was built in the late 13th century. Over the years, it has been home to a lot of different people, different uses. It was at one point actually the City Hall of Florence. There was a library here and a cafe. Since 1938, however, it has been the headquarters of the Salvatore Ferragamo company. Here in the lower floor of the palazzo, we find the Salvatore Ferragamo Museum, which was founded in 1995. The museum hosts changing exhibitions, and the theme of each exhibition has something to do with the heritage of the Salvatore Ferragamo company. So the current exhibition is called Sustainable Thinking. As many of you in fashion know, sustainability is a very important subject today in fashion. Fashion uses so many resources, from raw materials to water to electricity, and also generates a lot of waste, all to create product that can be very ephemeral. Maybe it only stops in our closet a short period before it ends up getting trucked off to landfill. So this exhibition examines a lot of new ideas and themes. It includes the work of artists, designers, and brands, all presenting projects and new ideas to confront this very important subject in the fashion business. So, what does sustainability have to do with the heritage of Salvatore Ferragamo? Well, let's take a look. So, who was Salvatore Ferragamo? Salvatore Ferragamo was Italian, who was born actually in southern Italy in the end of the 19th century. And he was distinguished because from a very young age, he was in love with shoes. He apprenticed with a local shoemaker, and by the time he was like 11 years old, he already had his own business making shoes. As a young teenager, he actually emigrated to the United States. And there, first he went to work in a shoe factory, then he moved to Santa Barbara where he opened a repair shop. But very soon after he moved to Santa Barbara, he began working for the cinema, which was, just getting going in those years in California. His first product were cowboy boots. And the actors found the cowboy boots so comfortable that they began commissioning him for, their personal shoes. In 1923, he moved to Hollywood from Santa Barbara and opened the Hollywood Boot Shop, where he became, had many famous clients such as Gloria Swanson, Joan Crawford, and kind of became known as the shoemaker to the stars. In fact, he was so successful that he felt that he couldn't, keep up with the demand. So in 1927, he moved back to Italy, thinking to, make production here with the fine Italian craftsmen. So he chose Florence because, of course, it's a beautiful Renaissance art center, and also there are a lot of artisans here in Florence. So I mentioned, what does sustainability have to do with the heritage of Salvatore Ferragamo? Well, we have to look to a little bit of Italian history. In 1935, the fascist regime, in the person of Mussolini, invaded Ethiopia. So the result of that were trade sanctions. So Italy, which doesn't have a lot of natural resources, was basically cut off. So they had to make do with what they could actually find in Italy. So rather than stifling the creativity of Salvatore Ferragamo, this was a huge inspiration to him. So he's very famous because he started to research all kinds of interesting materials to use for making shoes. One of the most famous was cork. Previous to this trade embargo, he used steel in the insteps of the shoes to support the weight, so he could make a very light shoe. When he could no longer get the steel, he ended up using cork. So he basically filled up, the whole arch of the foot to the ground to give the foot support. He also used things like fish skin. He famously used candy wrappers. He was inspired when he brought some chocolates to his mother on Sunday, started playing with the wrappers and realized he could make them into a very strong thread. So this innovative use of materials really characterized his production and the whole DNA of the company. And one of the, let's say, the filo d'Arianna, sorry to speak Italian, which basically means the guiding thread of the exhibition, are materials. So today, artists and designers are, one, looking for innovative materials, something new, something different, something that is biodegradable. They're also looking to reuse materials because fashion creates so much waste. So let's take a look at some of the ideas that these artists are proposing. So all of the shoes in this room are originally created by Salvatore Ferragamo, except for this pair here. So Salvatore Ferragamo, as shoemaker to the stars, of course, had many famous clients, one of whom was Judy Garland. Judy Garland, of course, was famous for starring in The Wizard of Oz, and her theme song was Somewhere Over the Rainbow. So in honor of this, Ferragamo created for her famous rainbow wedges, which became an icon of the house. And they were made out of cork and suede and sheepskin. For this exhibition, they have created, sort of recreated the rainbow wedges, which we see here. These are called Rainbow Future. And these sandals were created completely out of recycled and organic materials. So they're made with organic cotton, with wood, and they have been completely made by hand. So it's basically taking the history of the brand and projecting it into the future, into a sustainable future. Here we have a spectacular piece by Italian designer Stella Jean. Stella Jean has a sort of a different background from a lot of Italian designers because her father was Italian and her mother was Haitian. And she is really interested in the social aspect of fashion. So she often uses artisans to create her beautiful works. This particular piece was hand embroidered and hand painted in Umbria. So again, a way to sustain not only the planet, but also to sustain artisan traditions that run the risk of dying out. Here we are in the last room of the exhibition, and I'm in front of this beautiful piece by Natalie Balaut, which is called Acropora. It looks like a garment, but it's actually a piece of art. It is a coat made of recycled pieces of denim. So again, touching on one of the important themes of the exhibition is reusing all of the waste that comes out of our closets. This also touches on an environmental theme. It is hand embroidered, and the theme of the embroidery is the dying of the coral reef. So with this piece, it kind of sums up a lot of the themes of the exhibition and a lot of the issues that we face as a society, as professionals in fashion, and for the future of our planet, is how we're going to face these problems in our daily habits and what we wear and what we purchase, and of course, as fashion professionals, what we propose to our clients. I would like to close with a look at this beautiful piece by Italian artist Michelangelo Pistoletto. The name of this piece is Terzo Paradiso, which means the third paradise. So this is a symbol of the union of the well-being of humans with the well-being of the planets. And it's also a symbol for the responsibility of the fashion sector to move forward with responsible innovation for a future where both of these two values can be reunited for all of us.